Service-driven and family-owned, Central Bank is Iowa's private banking leader. For more than a century, we've dedicated ourselves to making it happen. Whether you're at home or on the road, our team is committed to ensuring that you can enjoy the finer things in life without worry or delay. Because we're more than a bank, we're a trusted partner, and we're here to make sure that life goes right.
I'm Mark Brown, and on behalf of all of us at Central Bank, I'd like to congratulate this year's Sages Over 70 winners on their success.
Central Bank, member FDIC.
I just did something that I had prayed about. Last year at Sages, I fell and wound up with my minister at the hospital with a leg that was kind of out of joint for a while. And I've been using a cane. But over the last week, I've kind of said, I wish I could go get this award without having to use that cane. It's under the table over here. And I wasn't quite sure as I walked across the carpet, but he answers prayers. It is such a pleasure to be here tonight. But I feel a little out of place having listened to all of these wonderful people who are sharing this night with me. Most of them express the same kind of feelings that I have, so there's a few things I can say that will be different. But I'll try to put a little Catherine touch to them. I, too, want to thank Connie. I want to thank the Des Moines Magazine and the Foundation for nominating me. I appreciate it so much. And I also want to acknowledge all of my friends who are here and those who wrote those beautiful letters. I really didn't know who the person was with half of it as I read, but I'm so thankful for them, my church family and my friends who are here. At this age, one of the things that is not so good about growing old is usually those that are closer to your God. So I have one nephew left who lives in Denver. But other than that, I have no family here. But God has given me so many wonderful friends that I really don't know how I would make it without them. And so I want to thank all of you who are here tonight. The other thing I'd like to say is when we were told in 3 or 4 minutes that we could speak, we were told, oh, you can talk about your accomplishments, you can talk about whether you give advice, or you can talk about wisdom, or you can talk about yourself. I don't like to talk about myself. The things that I have done and have accomplished have been so old, so past, that nobody remembers them, so who wants to hear that hashed again? I try not to give advice. I talk a lot, but I don't call it giving advice. So it wound up being wisdom. Now, that's one of the things with growing old. People seem to see that as kind of like the end of your life. It really isn't. It's another important step on your journey in life. And it depends upon what you've done with all those intervening years, how you handle it. You're no longer struggling with your kids. You're no longer trying to get an education. You're no longer trying to acquire all the things that show that you've made it in this world. You wind up with them, and then you wonder, what am I going to do with all this stuff? That's where I find myself now. I was blessed to be born in Iowa. Blessed to have been born in Des Moines. Blessed to have had wonderful parents who believed that education was very important. It taught me, as I read, there is another world out there. We lived in Highland Park, and the interurban used to run behind our house where the corn factory was. And I would lie in bed and hear the trains go and think about there's a big world out there somewhere. I'd like to be a part of it. At that time, I thought that cities there was one city here, and then you went to another city. I didn't know that there was all of this land in between. So one of the things I did as I grew was to read, to take myself to some of those places where I hadn't been, but hoped that I would get to go. And God has been so good to me that I have been to a lot of those places across the world that I would dream about. I've been able to walk the streets of Paris. I've been able to go through the Palace of Versailles and think I could hear those men on those horses clattering up those steps. I've been able to walk in Scotland. I've been able to go to hear where Shakespeare walked on Avon, the lake. And some of the things that I see as important for education may have been lost in the fact that everybody seems to want to make a living and be prosperous. But the spirit of education means that it's broad enough for you to understand the world around you. And those are the blessings that I feel that I would like for us to begin to promote for our young people. When you have children who come out of school, in education, they know nothing about a country other than Des Moines. They know nothing about the world out there. They're not taught that. Civics has been removed. So as people who are considered sages, let's spend some time trying to convince people these are the things we need to be teaching our children. As we go through this world, one thing remains certain. Love covers everything. That's agape love I'm talking about. The love for mankind. So whether you're teaching a child, whether you're teaching an adult, whether you're doing it on your job, whether you're doing it at your church, if you treat another person as you want to be treated, half of the problems that we face as adults would be minimized. I would like to talk about 4 things that I see kind of covered. You didn't ask me to preach, but that's what you get for asking. And then my preacher is clapping because he knows I do this in Bible study. But I think of conscience. And when I think of conscience, I go back to Hamlet. And he said conscience makes cowards of us all. Conscience gives us courage. Conscience gives us courage to do the things that are right, to speak to power, speak truth to power, but also speak truth to the powerless. We're in a situation in our culture today where power is supposed to be guided by the people. And what is happening in our country is said to be that as a result of people what? Well, if you can't speak to power to change power, you need to speak to people. You need to speak to people who feel that they don't know, they don't understand. But you do it with love. You do it with a commitment that you want the world to be one that thinks about each person being his own man, being able to do what he wants to do. When I think about the things that we could do, speaking truth to power, and when I say speak truth to the powerless, we can do that through our conscience. Conscience can give us courage. Conscience can help us with commitment. Conscience can help us with caring for other people. As we go through this world, these are the things that we need to be remembering. And I want to say, and I kind of joke about this because I had my car fixed and had them bring the car back to the house. When they brought the car back to the house, the guy who came in to get the check was just grinning, and he says, "Are you really that old?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll be 104 in a few days." He says, "My goodness, you don't look a day over 90. Now, if you want to be brought down, if you want to be told where you are in this scheme of things, that's a good one for you." But all joking aside, I have felt so blessed to have had, without people left, to have had friends who have been close with me, and we share our faith. And if there's one thing I would say, as we get older, this is one of the most important times of your life, because this is where you make the decisions about what has been important in your life that we need to see continue. Because this is only one stage in your journey. It's the stage we all are going to, but we don't know where it's going to take us. But I'll tell you, whatever it is, if you remember that you're here for a purpose, every one of us has a purpose, and life does not have to be perfect to be wonderful. Thank you.